All right. How is everybody? We'll go ahead and give this a minute here. Make sure you guys can see my screen. Make sure you guys can hear me. And we'll get this rocking and rolling. All right, guys. Edward, thanks for joining in the chat. Justin, remember, if you guys are in the room, make sure you guys just give a little thumbs up. You know, a little good to go. Make sure you guys can hear me, see my screen okay. Ellen, perfect. Thanks for joining. So make sure you guys have questions. Just make sure you guys drop them in the chat as well. James, all good. Cool. Perfect. Looks like we are good to go. Turkey Money, thanks for joining. Cool. All right, guys. Wanted to take about a half hour or so and really go ahead and just start diving into what we've been, I guess, really what I've been following through over the course of basically the high of basically 58 to the high of 62, and then a little bit of current price action as well, and see what the market's saying, see what my thoughts are, and answer any questions you guys have and anything that I can answer for you and kind of go from there. So I guess going back a little bit to this overall move down back here from the high of basically 58, we were looking at this as one or two potential waves here, and whether this is potentially going to be a wave 1 or a wave A. With the surpass of the prior high on this move up, that does invalidate this as a wave 1. So that's why I have this basically labeled as an A, B, and then a C. Even though with this, kind of bump up that we got here, this bridge, it isn't exactly coming across super impulsive. However, we can still turn this into a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 as we get down. And right here is what we want to really be aware of in regards to potentially testing the this weekly pivot right here for the R3, but basically down here at 42.5. And then we also have this trend line going back from way yonder that we can potentially come back and retest as well. So if we zoom out, obviously, this, we've tested it quite a few times, gotten off of it, and then, I guess you can say we even put this into a channel, oops, potentially into a channel here that we would also be looking at potentially breaking out of as well, as this whole thing has gone up. So you can see that's the trend line there that I was talking about. All right, so you can see from the overall price action with where we are, these are a couple major pivots in regards to and supports. And when we first broke it down here, you can see that we tested a couple times and then we launched through it. We did the same thing again, but then immediately failed. It's pretty easy. We can draw a nice little trend line right here that has been pretty well respected for this overall move down. And as always, if it starts with 5, it's got to end with 5, right? So with this being a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 right here, that's where we are saying basically it's got to end with a 5. So we can pull an extension real quick. See right at the 786 as well as this 100 EM. Right here, this is where I want to highlight a little bit. So this is where I was really just updating the Discord that they were in order to really establish a little bit more of a bullish bounce. We've since failed to do so, and since we have broken it, it's we haven't seen a quick huge buy up either. So that would, I guess, help my bias to continuation to the downside. With this overall move, this almost is coming across as right here is what is throwing off, I guess, holistically. And so we know that this is a 5-wave move, right? And I'm seeing this as a zigzag, an A, a B, and that was a C. And what's interesting right here is this is actually the 786. So the 786 has actually been a pretty decent amount of, it's held a decent amount of corrective moves throughout, I guess, as it's trended in regards to some of the corrective bounces, I guess you can say. As it's been a little choppy through here. It hasn't been super clear, but if you pull a fib retracement, you can see that it hit the 786 and it respected that quite well. Even on some of the smaller time frames, even like this one here, we pull the high to low, boom, 786 right there. So the 786 has actually been pretty common in a lot of this corrective chop that it's been going through. And we're really just kind of waiting to have a nice clean 5-wave move back to the downside. And the question is, this is basically an ABC right here, or did this turn into a WXY for more of a complex correction? So basically that would be our W, this would be our X, and then that would be the Y right there. To just have, again, just a bunch of 3-wave connected moves into a complex correction. And then having this as a 1, 2, 3. Problem with this right here is this can't be the 4 because this would then go into wave 1 territory, right? So the way, and only way to turn this into a potential 5-wave move is if we had this start right here. This would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5. So we could potentially have this as a 1, 2. This is now the start of our 3rd to go down. Have this basically as our 1. This is our 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So let's go ahead and take this off here. I guess we'll move it. And if that's the case, we can be looking at our 3rd right there. 3rd wave to finish basically at 46. 4th wave bounce, and then you can see actually how nice the 5th wave actually lines up right here with the 2.236, which is a 5th wave extension, which is also that weekly R3 resistance and support zone. That's going to be support at this point since we're above it. So we'll see what that, you can see potentially what that turns into. And if that's the case, we can go ahead and measure, that's our wave 1 right here. I guess this would be, it's not quite as clean in regards to how that would match up. Let's see what this retraced to. Let's see, nice little corrective bounce right there on the 618. I'm pretty sure right here, this is actually where I saw a news article today that Elon Musk announced that you can actually buy a Tesla with Bitcoin now, and I'm pretty sure everyone knew that was coming. But I'm pretty sure that's when he announced it roughly, and was a nice little buy up. But this is just a nice little zigzag, 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 for a nice little ABC corrective move. Just that right here is just really what it's going to turn into, or what we have to figure out in regards to if this was a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to create this overall as a wave 1 as we continue to go down. But yeah, I mean, it's just been, we've been dropping like a rock today, and basically 52.2 is where we're at now. A nice little. I had actually a short entry which was right at 56, and let me show you why I went into a short entry at 56. So if you go into a 15-minute, so it was right here. And the reason I did that is because I saw this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you do a retracement right here, is at the 0.5. And basically I had my stop loss right under the 786. So actually I had one entry here, I had another one stacked at the 618, and then one more at the 786. Obviously we just got that one, but it's been a nice little position so far as it's continued to move to the downside. But yeah, 52.6, and what's actually pretty nice is this is a nice 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And so if this is going to be a start of a wave 3, there's you can count it a little bit bigger, and it's normally a little bit more aggressive. So this would really, I'd see this as a wave 1. Come back up, test the 2, and then have a 3, 4, and a 5. Like so. Let's put a. So if we do get a nice little bounce here, I wouldn't expect us to get back up and retest this area. I mean, with this price action back here, this was our retesting of it, and in my opinion, we lost it. So I mean, we might get back up here to 53.9 at the 382, but I wouldn't expect us to get back into the 618 quite yet, which is, I guess, the free fall we've been having so far. Edward says, "Man, we're dropping." Yeah, we are. So we have the 382 right here at 53.9, the 0.5 at 54.5, and the 618 at 55. I mean, if we start to move up, again, I would see this as a ABC, but I would expect a little bit of a bounce somewhere within here. So let me take this guy off. And this is probably going to be a little bit overextended from this move here. But you can see that even with this move right here, wave 1, 2, our third wave, was right in here at the 618. And then we had the fourth wave come down, a little bit of an overextended at the 2.618. So all matches up very perfectly for a 5-wave impulsive move down on a smaller time frame, which we'll see what this turns into from a bounce perspective. But we're looking for, again, another 3-wave move up here to the 2 for wave 2, and then a 3, 4, and a 5 to come back down. Ultimately, I think we're going to get back down here and retest the 42 mark. But we'll see what that turns into. Normally the third wave is the most aggressive, right? So if this is a wave 1, 2, the third wave, within the third wave be the most aggressive, fourth, and then the fifth, sometimes we'll have like an ending diagonal, or we kind of fizzle off and drop a little bit slower before we potentially start to turn around. Okay. Another one I like to compare it to is actually Riot, and I don't know if any of you guys follow the stock market, but Riot is a blockchain stock where they do mining, and it is actually following something fairly similar to the Bitcoin action. From an overall move here, I just want to highlight this in regards to the move up, because it's actually it's cleaner than what Bitcoin is for sure. But we can see we have a nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive wave move for a wave 1. We have our wave 2, another 1, 2, and normally what we see on a wave 4 is we'll come down and test the 0.236. of the overall move, right? Which puts us right at about 25 bucks. Now, wave 5 puts us up here at 708, which actually kind of matches what we're looking at roughly for a Bitcoin to get up to roughly about 120, 130,000 in the long term with that 5-wave move up. That just because normally that's when it gets super. That 5th wave is, I guess, gets super overextended sometimes on, and this is all on a log scale. So on a linear, it gets super overextended just because that's kind of like that last final rush, but not quite as crazy as what the overall 3rd wave is. But I mean, if we go back to the daily and just look at the history of Riot, 700 sounds a little crazy from where we are right now. But if we look at the history of it, you can see that right here, the all-time high of Riot was 3,400, 3,500 bucks. So basically 700 bucks doesn't sound super, super crazy, right? But it does seem to be coming across, or I guess at least having an impulsive move to the upside here. And even if this is potentially a C wave, that would still get us up to 200 bucks roughly. And that's just hit the 1.618. So I think it's still got room to go, but I'm looking at it as more of an impulsive move to the upside here. So, yeah, that's what I got, guys. That is my bias in regards to the direction on which way we go, or are trending, and which way I'm leaning at the moment. I'm just leaning across this overall being a larger 4th wave correction. This was our overextended target for the 5th wave. You can see we got the 5th wave perfectly for overall more of a C wave down to get us down here roughly 43, 42K. But looking for this as an ABC, larger 4th wave correction, and then potentially start looking at taking off again. If we do break the trend line, break this resistance point here at 42.3, then I would be leaning a little bit more bearish at that point, just because the way that this is set up. What I don't want is for this to be technically considered, I guess, a 5th wave, where we'd have a 1, 2, and basically count this as a 3, 4, and a 5, and then start with an impulsive move down. If that's the case, then that's would be a little bit more bearish, versus if this is a C wave and we're just going to have a 5-wave move to the downside, versus starting off impulsively to the downside. Those are 2 totally different scenarios. So this is what we got to hold if we do get down there. Again, that's always just my thoughts on the market. Yeah, I could be completely wrong, but not always. I'll leave it at that. So what questions do you guys have? Anything that can help show you guys, anything that I can help pinpoint. Kind of covered a decent amount of stuff. I can take some of these little fibby steps. What questions do you guys have? Drop them in the chat. Give everyone a second here. Oh, the masked one. Yeah, we've been there, including myself. But I mean, that's why you want to make sure you have, I guess, a invalidation area for your positions and set your stops, because when Bitcoin likes to run or drop, it likes to do it quite heavily sometimes. Let's see. I mean, the mask one I'm not going to tell you to. I mean, that's 100% your decision. But my bias is more downside. The wolf. Let's see. Do you have a scalp trade under current conditions? Honestly, with the way that I'd be looking for, again, is right here. With the way that so current conditions, we'll go ahead and pull the fibs again on this move. Let me go to the 15-minute here. So 15-minute, we can see a nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So this overall looks to be primed for a little bit of I guess a reset, a little bit of a bounce up. So pull the condition or pull the fibs. So we have 1.618. It came down, and we're at the 2.618 currently. See, a lot of our indicators here are a little pretty oversold at the moment. So I'd be looking for this to have a 3-wave move, roughly with where we are currently. I'll look for a 3-wave move to the upside, especially with us being in the, I guess, below the bearish control zone. And I'll look for the RSI to come up, test the top of the bearish control zone, even test the top, or I guess the bottom of the bullish control zone before, as a nice little reset before we get continuation to the downside is what I'd be looking for. But I'd be looking for it in a 3-wave move, basically to have a nice little ABC here, and then a nice little ABC here, and finish it off with a little 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So I do think it'll go up. But again, when we pull the retracements, it's just a matter of what levels we hold. Right, so this gets us back up to the 382. We have these major resistance points right here, which they were support but are now resistance at 55.5 and 54.5, we'll call it. So these are two very heavy resistance points for us right now. But if we get above the 382, I would be looking for us to test the 0.5, potentially the 0.618. I don't see us getting up quite this high yet unless we have a super impulsive bounce and start off with a 5-wave move. Then I'd be readjusting my back count here. But I'd look for a 3-wave move correction, little 3-wave bounce here, and then have continuation to the downside is what I'd be looking for. So I guess from a scalp positions, that's what I'd be looking for, but I'd wait for confirmation to get this little bounce before I jump in anything. One thing we can be looking at is our pivots here. So right here we're at our S2, but we're not seeing much of a bounce off of it. So we would need to see this S2 hold to get our, I guess, turn into a little bit more of a support before we get our 3-wave move up, which I'd be counting as our wave 2. So we're kind of right at a support right now. Next support I'd really be looking at is down here at the 3.618, which also matches up with the S3. Let's see. Sorry, just catching up on chat here. Dragon GBTC. I'll pull that up here real quick. All right, let's see. GBTC, a little bit of grayscale. So let's take these off. Let's see. All right. All right. So if we're looking at wave 4, so wave 4 matches for Riot and Bitcoin. Let's see what we have for grayscale here. That was actually one I was going to be looking at. But yeah, I mean, this looks identical to Bitcoin. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and do an extension. which I would count it the same way. And yeah, I mean, hit the 1.618 perfectly. Now, I think with Riot and Grayscale, it might be a little bit different on the retracements. But we have the 382 down here at 31. I think Riot was a little bit more, volatile, I'd say, than what Grayscale is. But I mean, yeah, it is definitely following Bitcoin in my opinion, with where we are currently. So we'll look for a potential retest of 31 for an A, B, and then a C. That's what I'll be looking for. ETH, pull up some ETH real quick. Let's do a different one. Let's see, start with the clean chart here. Let's take these guys off. All right. Yeah, I mean, with this move, I should take these off here. Yeah, I mean, with the severity of these moves, I would start really looking kind of for at least a 1-to-1 extension off of this. Let's move a 4-hour real quick. But I mean, yeah, especially with right here, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It starts with 5. It's got to end with 5, right? And what's interesting with ETH is it definitely came across more impulsive right here on this bounce than what Bitcoin did. I mean, this actually doesn't look like a terrible 5-wave move up. It looks a little choppy in a couple different areas, but it doesn't look terrible. Let's check. And let's pull it off of this guy too. ETH, I would look for pretty similar in regards to, I guess, Bitcoin. I would look for a retest of down here on the low, potentially a 786 bounce, which is also the 2.236. So right in here, between 14 and 1300. And I see this as a little bit different. I'd see this as a 1, 2. This would be our third right now. We'll go into a fourth and then a fifth. So basically have this as an ABC correction right here. What we don't want is with, I guess, this move here is if we start getting some overextended moves. I mean, when I say don't want, it just depends what position you're in. What we don't want is if you want to be bullish, is this to be a 1, this to be a 2, and then have this overall be your third, fourth, and because it does have the scenario to play out like that whenever we have a 5-wave move down from a new high. So that's what we would want to be cautious of and be aware of. So I would look for support here at the 786, 1300, and 1200. But again, I kind of see some continuation. I see again a short-term bounce, come back, potentially retest, 1600-ish for our 4. But then I would look for continuation down for a wave 5 on ETH. So, all right, guys, that pretty much takes up the half hour or so. Thank you guys for jumping on. I hope to see you guys in the Discord. As always, make sure you guys check out the links below. The website, blockchaintrading.com. Get my #1 trading strategy on there. It's completely free. Thanks for the support, guys. And if you guys have any